Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and we got an opportunity today to work on a Penn Slammer drag system. And well, even though it's been around for quite some time, a lot of folks ask, what is it about? And well, in this case, how to service it. Now, we had a reel come in from Ron. It was a Penn Spinfisher 8500, and it had a spool that basically could not be adjusted. And when I got inside that spool, I realized that there were several internal parts that became entangled, and well, the result was that the spool was jammed and the parts broken, and we had to go out and order some new parts. And when I did that, I just thought, well, this is going to be a perfect opportunity here for us to show you the Penn Slammer drag system, how it comes together, and why it's used the way it is, what makes it important or not important, and so on. So first, let's show you some of those broken parts. There was a couple of things that were well worn. They got jammed in. I think it was from over tightening. We have a click spring that broke. This is the internal part of the knob adjuster. Some little pieces and parts and the like that went there. So what is the Slammer drag system? Why is it designed the way it is, and how is it used? Well, let's stay tuned to get you those answers. But before we do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, if you like the art of reel service and repair, if you like to understand how these things are made, a little bit today, like a conversation about what is the Slammer system and how does it work, and the like, well, then I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. That will let you know when I'm posting, and well, you can make a decision as to whether that's a video that you would like to use. Here's the main culprit. There's an internal lever with a drag washer on it. That drag washer was seized. That's one of the things that makes me think it was over tightened, because it's totally pressed onto this bezel kind of a thing. And well, we're gonna do that for you. So subscribe to my channel, and if you do subscribe to my channel, please use that notification button. It'll let you know when I'm posting, what I'm posting, and well, where it all leads, who knows. All right, this is the broken drag adjuster knob. You can see how it was pressed down and collapsed on there and came out in pieces and parts. And what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild the entire stack. Well, the thing with the drag system on a Slammer is that the majority of the drag washers are underneath. What does that do? Well, it protects the drag washers from the water that's thrown off from that spool when you're lining and casting out. That line is going to be bringing water in. It's going to be bringing it over the top. And traditional top-sided drag washer systems, as the line is coming in and going on the spool, it's shedding the water. The water gets on the top, eventually works its way down through the drags, and either deposits some dirt and debris on there, or has other ill-based effects. You can see on this one, as we look at the schematic, that there's very little up top. We saw that little plunger effect thing. The washer that was frozen on it, a metal washer, a retaining ring, an outer trim ring, and then the rest of it is the top knob. But underneath, you have a very substantial drag stack, and that drag stack is protected because it's underneath, so the water from the spool coming in will not get on that. Well, let's show you how it all comes together. You've already seen the schematic, and that's what I recommend, that if you are servicing a fishing reel of any description or consequence, and you don't know what you're doing, then the first thing I recommend is that you go ahead and get that schematic. That schematic will show you how the pieces and parts come together. So this is how this looks. Here's your Slammer, and well, the first thing in is that noisemaker. So let's go put that noisemaker in. This broke in the original. I don't know why it broke, but it did. It's a rather flimsy or frail kind of a piece to begin with. I'm looking for the hole where that's going to stick through. That would be here. So it slips in, and then there's two cavities, one on each side where that bends in. So that's going to make a noise when you're letting your drag washers out, and that will show you or tell you that the line is being released. Okay, that sits right into this cavity here, just like that. Well, next up then is the, I think I've got that upside down. I do have that upside down. There you go. That's another reason why these schematics are important, and they'll show you the little mistakes that you're making along the way. All right, that's seated in there, and I was thinking it was upside down because there's a little rubber O-ring washer kind of a thing that holds that in effect. All right, we saw that one fall off. That's the next one. Comes across the top. And then it alternates. So these take the effect of a eared washer or keyed washer. It has 5 or 6 studs on it. Those are going to set themselves into the cavity here. So looking from the top down, which is kind of the way I have this, we have an O-ring that goes on the outside. That's going to be out here. That's the rubber ring. It looks like a rubber band. That's going to further seal this from water intrusion. And that's what it's all about these days with the saltwater reels. If anybody says, well, what's the big difference in a saltwater reel over the last 30 or 40 years, I would say that they've worked very well on water intrusion. Okay, that's in. We have 2 of these. So the first one goes in. Those little tags are set into the grooves inside the spool. We have 2 of these, so they alternate. Just like that. So we've done drag washer, metal, drag washer, metal. This is a Carbon Tex washer. You have the option to use drag grease on that. I just had that question this morning come in. Yeah, you can. It's optional for you, and well, whatever you decide works. All right, we want to take this now, and this is a plate now. It's going to go over the top, and I guess it's probably going to be easier to set it this way. But then when you go to set that, you got to remember this little noisemaker button has to come in. So bring that in, kind of pull it over. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to align the holes in the spool so that you can tie this down. I have that there. There's 3 very small screws, but you'll see there is a hole that's going to utilize those screws to hold them down. Well, this is where me and, well, this kind of reel repair goes a little crazy, because me and little screws, we have our issues from time to time. One of the things that I found, and it's kind of been a channel tip on a lot of these, is if you take a micro driver, in this case I need the micro driver because it's small, you put a glob of grease on there on the tip, that generally can hold it for you while you try to work that in. And success. Once you get the first one in, you can release a little bit of that tension that maybe you've had on your hand. Then you want to repeat that twice. But while I'm putting the other 2 screws in, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, which I've already done. And now that you're getting a view at this, maybe you're thinking, hey, this might be something I want to watch. And well, if you've already subscribed, maybe even if you haven't subscribed, if you have a question, maybe you're wondering how a feature and function works, just like this slammer drag here. Or maybe you're trying to diagnose an issue. Maybe you got something going on like Ron had with this reel. He said, you know, no matter what I do, my drag just doesn't tighten. Well, we kind of found out why. It was all jammed. But maybe we can do that too. So if you have those kinds of questions, leave those in the question. Leave them in the comment section, and I will try to answer those for you. All right, I think we've got that tightened down. Now, on some of these slammer drags that you're working on, you're also going to find an alternate type of a click mechanism. You're going to find an external spring It's going to come on the outside here, and it's actually going to be tied in on one of these hold down screws. So just be aware of that they're not all the same, but you may find yourself with a slightly different one. All right, well, this is where, when it gets all jammed up and you saw the condition of those parts, you might be scratching your head in terms of how it actually works. So this is where we are now. We're in the top end segment of this. We're going to have the plunger come in first. I'm sure it's not called a plunger, but I didn't take out the descriptive side of the schematic, so I'm not quite sure what it is. This just is going to go all the way down in here. So that rubber insert goes inside. I had to tap that down, so I used a little wooden peg or a dowel. It's kind of well worn, but just that, and just tapped it down a little bit. It's a snug fit, but that's okay. Next up then is the drag washer. This is an HT100, just like the other side. And as I mentioned, these are optional to go ahead and put some grease on because, well, they are carbon tex. They don't absorb much, but you know what? This one stuck the last time, so I'm just going to put a glove on, put a little bit of grease onto that washer, just as a preventative, and we'll see if it makes a difference. So I use my glove as a tool, put a little bit of grease, and you can use fishing reel grease. It doesn't have to be the drag washer grease. Just a little bit, but make sure you rub it all off so you can still see the cross hatching. That goes in next. And we should have the metal one under my schematic here. We do. And this is the part that got caught, interestingly enough. One of them, the band, it's still got some of that old plastic kind of jammed on there in that clip. So it makes all the sense in the world to go ahead and replace that too. All right, the metal washer goes next. Then we got a new clip. That clip sits in a groove in this spool. So start it on the one side. It is a spring, so start it, put it in, hold it so that it doesn't spring out on you, and then just kind of work it in. It's not a very hard spring. And you'll know you're in place when all of the ears are inside the groove, just like that. Okay, well, the other piece that I had, I ordered because, well, I saw it on the schematic, and I really didn't know what it was, but I didn't know if it belonged here or not because it was all broken apart inside. Turns out to be the spool band. What's the spool band? This actually goes on the arbor of the spool on the inside. So if the line is removed, this will fit over the arbor like that. And that's to stop braid slip. So if you've loaded your spool with braid and you do not have backing, this is kind of a compromise to allow you to do that. Of course, it doesn't do any good with the line on there, but I didn't want to order stuff and then find out that it's lost. All right, here's the reel. So we have the reel. We're going to load the spool onto that now. Okay, spool's mounted. Last thing then is the adjuster knob. And we'll see if it works. Remember, this thing was jammed on there. You couldn't get the adjustment. Should work now. We're going to tighten this all the way down. Lots of turns to make that tight, huh? Wow, can hurt your wrist doing this. All right, nice and tight. And then back it off. We want to make sure that there's some sensitivity here. And there is. You got your spool play. And depending on how you would like to make this work, or very loose, you now have a drag that works. So Ron, that's how you do it. That's what the cause of the issue was and how it was resolved. And here's your reel now. Nice and in working condition. Ready to go fishing again. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. That's a little bit of an unusual task, but we looked at the causes for the spool failure. We had two things. We had a broken noisemaker below, and we had an all jammed up internal section of the top end of that slammer drag system. Well, that's all been fixed now, and well, it's ready to go fishing. It has its second chance. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel, our police, fire, rescue, and all involved in public safety. I appreciate everything it is that you do. I want to thank you for your dedication to a career of service with the public interests in mind. To everyone, have a great day. Get your reels ready. You may have some unusual problems. If you do, leave those questions in the comments section. We'll try to help you identify what the issue is. We would have thought it would have been this. And, well, how to correct that. And everybody stay well. I'm wishing you tight lines. Have a great day.